Hi, this is my second part of the video. In this video, I'm going to talk about the setup, configuration, and the logic. I explained it in my previous video how the feature set works, how to deploy the profiles. I'm gonna do a like a brief video about the whole setup process because it's kind of I mean it's pretty simple, but I just wanted to go through the code. So you can install the unmanaged package, or you can deploy the code. Uh, if you deploy the code, there is a dependency on the Financial Force tools package. So you have to have the Financial Force tools package because it uses one of their Visual Force pages. But if you install the unmanaged package using the URL, you don't really have a dependency, and you can use it as a standalone app. And you just need to navigate to the page using the URL apex compare profiles. So as a first part of the setup, you have to create a connected app. Um, so the connected apps are created over here. So I created one connected app for the deeper profiles. So this is how you create a connected app. So you provide click on the new, you provide the app name, the API name, the email, and the redirect URL. Where is it? So you can enable OAuth settings, and you add full access. And in the callback URL, make sure that you give this one as your callback URL. This is a very important step. Change your instance. So if you are installed your package in a different org like AP1 or NA7 or something, make sure that you change that, and you give this one and click on save. So after you save it, make a note of the consumer key, consumer secret, callback URL, and go to the develop custom settings. So there is this thing called OAuth settings, which is a hierarchy setting. So just one is needed. So you have to put in like the client ID you got from the connected app, the client secret, and the redirect URI. The OAuth URL and the OAuth endpoint, they stay the same. So there is I have provided them in the setup document. Make sure that you put in those two as well. And that's for the custom settings. And you have to add the broad login.salesforce.com, test.salesforce.com if you're testing for the test, and uh, your current instance NA15. I have deployed it in NA15. So cna15.visual.force.com, that one, and the target org instance, that is if you are connecting it to the sandbox CS11, or if you're connecting it to a different developer org NS7. So make sure that you add these as your remote sites, because since we are doing like a REST API calls and then metadata API, what happens is if it is not present in the remote API settings or all remote sites, it's gonna throw you an error, and you'll not the app will not function properly. Make sure that you add them. So that's all with regard to the setup. So if you set up a connected app, add your custom settings, add stuff to the remote site settings, you should be good, and you should be ready to use the app immediately. Uh, Coming to the code, so the code is basically organized. Let me So the code modules, I have split the code modules into three different types: the controller classes, the manager classes, and the wrapper classes. The controller classes are for the controller Visual Force page and the Visual Force component that you are seeing. The wrapper classes are to define the structures that you get back from the for the data that you get back from the REST API, and to provide like a generic place where you can compare the source profile and the target profile. And the manager classes are basically to manage uh, all the feature sets that you are doing in the I'm sorry, all the feature sets that you are calling from the controller classes. So let's see. So these are the manager classes: profile manager, profile metadata manager, HTTP manager. Uh, to give you a brief, let me show you. So what the profile manager does is it gets the profile details from the source org and the target org. So it has this like is internal, and it has like these maps: profile map, external profile map. So if you wanted to get the profile details in a structured format that we are using, just provide them with the profile map or the external profile map. These are nothing but just the map of the ID and the profile, and then call the methods external profile details or the profile details to get the profile in a structured format. So, so when you use this profile manager class and you call either the target org or the source org with the profile, it returns back the details of the profile with all the object permissions and the field permissions in the same structure, in the same structured format, so that you can compare both the source and the target profiles. So let me, if you see the W profile is the same structure that I am talking about. So this is the structure that we use to compare the profiles. So it has object permissions, field permissions, and user permissions is like a to-do. So it's not being used, and the layout assignments also, because I haven't found a way to get them. But for the object permissions and the field permissions, you can see this would be the same for the source and the target, so that you can easily compare. One thing while I'm in this class I wanted to let you know is that there is a small I don't know if it's a glitch, but the way the Salesforce handles the standard profiles is that the metadata API name of the standard profile and the REST API or the SQL query name of the standard profile is totally different. So if you do a SQL query on the profile object for a name, you would be getting a different value, versus if you do a retrieve from using the metadata API, you would be getting a different value. So the system administrator has a is called admin. Standard user is called standard. Solution manager is called solution manager. Read only. So what I did was, so I thought this would be a right place to put this, but I created this map and I added this map value pairs. So when you basically do a deploy for any of the standard profiles, we don't have an issue where it says that the profile is not found or invalid name or something like that. If you wanted to deploy a different standard profile than these five, which I added, make sure that you add it to this class. You add it as a map, like with the name and value pair. So that's the profile manager. So let's see. the profile metadata manager. So as the name suggests, the metadata manager will basically create the instances of the metadata objects for the target profiles to deploy. So it takes the metadata API's profile class, and it makes sure that the object permissions, the field permission classes are populated. So you can see that so it says build object permissions. It creates the object permissions, and the field permissions, it creates the field permissions, and it also has a method to deploy the profile. So it basically deploys the profile using the metadata API. So that's what the profile metadata manager does, and these are all for the future use, because I don't know if you can get all this, the application visibility, class access, layout access, and all at this point. So I just put it as a future use, so you can add methods to this profile metadata manager. So that's those are the manager and the HTTP manager basically manages all the HTTP requests going in and out. So from my app, so any request that goes out, uh, it uses the HTTP manager class. The controller classes are the page con and the comp con. So compare profiles comp con and compare profiles page con. Those are the controller classes for the page, Visual Force page, and the Visual Force component. All they do is the page con basically handles all the auth access and the connections and everything, and the comp con will access the comparison. If you look at the page con, it's all pretty straightforward. Complete over 2.0, it makes sure that it does like all the redirects and everything properly. And the CompCon is basically comparing the profiles. So it gets the profiles for the source and the targets using the profile manager, and then it shows you a view of comparison. User can use like the select the objects and the feeds that he wanted to deploy, and he can use the profile. The code uses the profile metadata manager to deploy them. That's basically it, and it has like a nice wizardy style. And for the wizard style, what I did was I used this set flags on profile, which is basically the flags that we are using to see if the profile is loaded or if it is ready to deploy or if it is deployed. uh, Code is straightforward. I mean, if you look at the code and the methods, I put in like comments, so you can easily understand it. And it also has a method to check the status. It's asynchronous, so it uses the action poller and calls this method check status to get back the result. So that's basically about the way the classes are built. And the UI in pages, there are only just one Visual Force page and two Visual Force components. The page handles the auth request, the component handles the comparison. So, and other component is just a helper component to just to make sure that I separate out, making it easier for the people who look at the component to understand how it works. Custom objects, just one object, connection object, and custom setting auth settings. So that's all about the app. And as I said, it's kind of a complex one if you look at it for the first time. But if you uh, keep work, oh, one thing that I wanted to let you know is the metadata service. So in order for the metadata service to work using the deploy, so I had to basically change. So I have to change this metadata service to extend the metadata and use these two, publishing type and the full name, because if you don't have those, you cannot deploy using the metadata Salesforce metadata API. from within the Salesforce, I mean. So you have